Hi guys, Larissa here, guest designer for Faber-Castell Design Memory Craft, and today I want to share some really cool techniques on how you can use embossing folders and your wafer thin metal dies and gelatos to emboss. So anyway, these are a couple of the different cards that I've made. The background here, I used an embossing folder and I used the gelatos and made that really cool pattern. I'm taking the class over online, the summer card class 2, and this was a color palette challenge this week. So I thought that'd be fun to incorporate that into my card for today. And then this card, I've used a metal die from My Favorite Things and embossed the cool design down at the bottom. And then I've used Paper Smooch's Love metal die and embossed with the gelatos and then made a little heart. So anyway, I'm going to share some fun techniques with you. The things that you'll need for the card I just showed you, there are these really fun wood paper sheets out there, and this is a birch wood veneer paper, and it's really thin. It cuts like butter. You can use it with your punches or your dies, and it embosses really well. So that's what I used for my first card, and I got this over at Simon Says Stamp. And then you're going to need an embossing mat and paper towels and a large bottle of water, and then your gelatos, which we're going to be using watermelon and snow cone, and then your dies of choice. And today I'm going to be using this circle dies from My Favorite Things and this Love die from Paper Smooches, and then this beautiful embossing folder from Stampin' Up. I love the design of this. First, we're going to start with the Love, and you can do this on paper, cardstock, any type of paper. I'm just going to do this on the wood, and you'll just take your piece that you want, the size that you want, and then you're going to take your gelatos and you're going to color right on top of your metal die wherever you want the color. So I'm going to split this up, and you don't want a ton, but you want to make sure that you get the part covered. And then you're going to take your water and you're going to spray the wood paper, and then we're going to spray our dye. So we just want to lightly coat that with water, and then we're going to spray our dye, and you can see I've done just a couple squirts of water, and then we're going to place that right onto our dye. We're going to put our mat on top of it and then run it through your machine, and I'm using a Sizzix Big Shot machine. And I don't have an area large enough to run it through on camera, but hopefully you can hear me. I have the first tab pulled so that it'll go through without the first tab. And I just love the way that this looks once you get it all done. And then you might need some shims. I have to use a couple of cardboard shims on my machine just in order to get a really good impression. And once you get that ran through, you can see the really cool tie-dyed effect that you get from that. And I've also done it with cardstock, and you can see the really fun design that you get. I just love the way that it looks. And then for our next one, we're going to take a piece of craft paper, And we're going to spray that. And then we're going to take our dye, the same we did with the love, and you're going to color on top of the little circles. And again, you want to get quite a bit on the tops of the dye there where it's going to run through the machine. And then we'll do the pink. And I love that you can use your dyes for something other than die cutting. I just think this is a really fun technique to do. And then I'm going to spray my dye. And you don't want to get a ton of water, but you want to make sure that you have enough water on there for it to do its thing. Line it up on your paper, and then transfer that to your die cutting machine. And then you're going to run it through whatever die cutting machine you may have to emboss it. And you want to make sure that you have an embossing mat so that you don't actually cut through the paper, you just want to emboss it. And once you get done, you end up with this. And once that dries, as you can see in my finished card, it tones back quite a bit. But I just love the artsy feel and the look of it. I just think it is so much fun. Alright, for my next technique that I want to share, we're going to be using the embossing folder. And there's several different ways that you can approach this using embossing folders. You have the sunken in side, and then you have the raised side. And you can do either side. You'll get a completely different look depending on what you do. For the card that I've made, hopefully you can see I colored on the raised portion, so it sunk into the die or the embossing folder and left the darkest impressions around the outside of the design. So for this one, I want to show you how it looks when you do it on the opposite side. So we're going to take our embossing folder, and you want to make sure that you keep it straight up and down, and you're just going to color all over the entire embossing folder. And depending on how much color you want, it'll depend on how much you color onto your folder. If you just want a light painterly effect, then I would just do a light coating. But if you want it to be completely covered, which is what I'm going for, I'm going to completely cover the whole entire background as well as I can with the gelatos. And the same thing applies here. You want to make sure you get water on it, but you don't want to have so much water, because when you run it through your machine, it will actually act like a squeegee, and if you have too much water, you'll have water squeegeeing out of the end all over the place. So you can see I've got that coated fairly well, and then I'm going to bring in my water bottle, and I just want to do some light mist. I don't want a ton of water on there, but I want enough to activate that embossing. And then you'll stick your paper right on there, line it up, and close it, and run it through your machine. And you want the same setting on this as you had on with the metal plates. You want it on tab 1. And this time you shouldn't need any shims. And then you're going to run it through your machine. And when you get done, you're going to end up with this. And isn't that beautiful? And when it dries, that'll fill in and it'll be saturated with color. And I have a dried one here to show you. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, I love it. I think it just adds a completely new dimension to what you can do with your embossing folders. And then this is the second generation from the card that I showed you. I didn't want to waste any of the beautiful gelatos, so after I ran this through, I stuck another piece of cardstock in, sprayed it with water again, and then I got this. And it's just a really light color, but oh, it's so pretty. I think this would make another beautiful card. And then, once you get done, it's really easy just to take your embossing folder, run it through water, spray it with water again, and it wipes right off. So anyway, I hope you guys are inspired. I hope you'll give it a try. And if you create something, I hope you'll post a link down in the comment section, because I would love to come and check out your beautiful projects. So today I've shared with you how to emboss using your embossing folders and your wafer thin metal dies using Gelatos. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a fabulous, fabulous day.